South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem first endorsed Donald Trump back in September. Today in Sioux City, Iowa, she stood on the stage to stump for former President Donald Trump, saying that he was the best out of all candidates and helped the state of South Dakota increase their economy and provide freedoms for the citizens.
I've known the man for years now. Worked with him when he was in the White House on tax cuts, worked with him on policies, trade agreements. I served on the Armed Services Committee, worked on foreign policy with him. He helped me build my economy in South Dakota.
Noem also touched on foreign policy, saying we would not have the current conflict worldwide if former President Trump was in office.
We would never have the situation going on like we see in the Middle East right now if he had been in the White House. We would never see what was going on with Russia and Ukraine. He would be strong. He'd be strong against North Korea.
Governor Noem encouraged Iowans to get out and caucus, even if they were afraid of making their stance in public. In Sioux City, Clayton Anderson, KTIV News 4.
Former President Donald Trump will campaign in Sioux Center, Iowa Friday. You can find details right now at KTIV.com.